In the far-off kingdom of Vitria, everything was made of the finest, most delicate porcelain. The houses, the streets, and even the clothes of the citizens were beautiful but incredibly fragile. Because of this, the people of Vitria lived in a state of constant quiet terror. They moved slowly, spoke softly, and never dared to dream too big, for fear that a single mistake or a sudden gust of wind would shatter their world into 1,000 unfixable pieces. To them, a broken object was a broken life. Disappointment was not just a feeling, it was a permanent tragedy. In this kingdom lived a young architect named Ilara. She had spent 5 years building her masterpiece, a magnificent cathedral made of white porcelain that reached toward the clouds. It was her pride, her joy, and the source of her entire identity. On the day of the grand opening, a freak earth tremor shook the ground for only 3 seconds. It was enough. Ilara watched in frozen horror as her 5 years of work collapsed into a pile of white dust and jagged shards. Ilara didn't scream. She didn't cry. She simply felt something inside her heart go cold and silent. She believed that she, too, was broken beyond repair. For weeks, she sat in the ruins, staring at the fragments of her dream. She felt like a failure, a ghost of the person she used to be. Her anxiety had turned into a heavy, suffocating despair. One morning, an old man carrying a small wooden box approached her. He was known as Master Kintsugi, a man who lived on the rocky outskirts of the kingdom where nothing was made of porcelain. Master, Ilara whispered without looking up. "Go away. There is nothing left here to save. The dream is dead, and I am broken." The old man sat down beside her among the ruins. He didn't offer her pity. Instead, he picked up a jagged shard of her cathedral and looked at it closely. "In the city, they tell you that a crack is an end," he said. "But in the mountains, we know that a crack is simply the beginning of a new story. You are suffering not because the building fell, but because you built your happiness on something that was never meant to last forever." Ilara looked at him, confused. "But it was my masterpiece. How can I not be disappointed?" "Disappointment," Master Kintsugi said, "is the gap between your expectations and reality. You expected the world to be still, but the nature of the world is to move. Stoicism teaches us that we do not own the things we build. We only own the character we use to build them. The cathedral belonged to the earth, and the earth took it back. But your ability to be an architect, that belongs to you. That is your inner citadel." He opened his wooden box and took out a small pot of golden resin. He began to join 2 broken pieces of Ilara's porcelain together. "When a cup breaks," he whispered, "most people see a tragedy, but a Stoic sees an opportunity for fortitude. We fill the cracks with gold. We don't hide the damage. We make it a part of the beauty. The cup becomes stronger at the broken places. This is the core of Stoic resilience. We often believe that disappointment is a sign that we have failed, but Marcus Aurelius would tell us that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If you think a setback is a catastrophe, it will be, but if you think of it as a test of your equanimity, it becomes a teacher." Master Kintsugi told her the story of a merchant who lost his entire fortune in a shipwreck. While the other merchants wept and begged the gods for mercy, this man sat on the beach and began to plan his next venture. When asked how he could be so calm, he replied, "The sea took my silk and my gold, but it could not take my mind. I am still the master of my own agency. Why should I break just because my ships did? You must learn to distinguish between the external and the internal." The master continued, "Your cathedral was external, your reputation was external, but your peace, your courage, those are internal. No earthquake can touch them unless you allow it. You are not a porcelain doll, Ilara. You are the gold that holds the pieces together." Ilara watched as the old man finished mending a small bowl from the ruins. It was no longer perfect, but it was magnificent. The golden lines told a story of survival and transformation. This was Ilara's epiphany. She realized she had been fragile because she had placed her worth in things that could break. She had been a prisoner of her own high expectations. Slowly, she stood up. She picked up a shard of her dream and felt the sharp edge. It didn't scare her anymore. "I am not my cathedral," she whispered to the wind. She began to help the old man, not to rebuild the porcelain city, but to learn the art of the gold. She learned that letting go of a specific outcome is the only way to gain true control over your life. She realized that impermanence is the only law of the universe, and to fight it is to fight the ocean. This is the message for you today. You may be standing in the ruins of a relationship, a career, or a dream. You may feel that the cracks in your life are too deep to ever heal. Stoicism invites you to stop looking at the dust and start looking at the gold. Your disappointment is a signal. It is telling you that you have attached your happiness to something outside of your circle of control. Tonight, take a deep breath. Acknowledge the pain, but do not let it define you. You are not the things that have happened to you. You are the one who decides what those things mean. Fill your cracks with wisdom. Fill your scars with fortitude. You will find that you are not just mended, you are transformed. The world may break your heart, but it can never break your spirit, unless you give it permission. Stand tall in your ruins, for it is only when the old structures fall that you have the room to build something that is truly unshakable.